we are starting that process of trying to help somebody else change their brain.
Yes.
And if you take anything away from this conversation, let it be that.
Yeah. Hello and welcome back to the Leadership Launchpad and the final part of our series where we are talking with learning and training leaders at the DevLearn conference in Las Vegas. I was really excited for this discussion that you're gonna get to listen to today. It was one of the ones I was looking forward to most. It was with a good friend of mine, Lauren Waldman. Lauren has an interesting backstory because she started off just like myself as a learning professional who didn't have formal training and learning. She started doing it in the corporate world and then thought, well, what's actually the mechanisms behind this? Why is it that, how do people actually learn? And so she took the bold move of going back to school and learning a lot of the neuroscience, the brain science behind what is actually happening in the brain that makes learning happen, that makes behavior change, that makes memories form. So she's always my go-to person to learn about the science, the true science of learning. And so for managers, I think this is a really excellent discussion to start to understand some of those mechanisms, especially if you are more technically oriented. There's so much that you can discover. We barely scratch the surface, obviously, in this discussion, but there were a couple really great points that Lauren makes around what are some of the common misunderstandings that she sees with people and what they should be doing to make sure they're creating training engagements that are actually going to be effective. I hope you enjoy the conversation. Lauren, thank you so much.
I am really happy to see you, buddy.
I always love talking with you. You know more about what learning really is than anybody else I know.
Okay.
And so I was really excited to talk to you because this podcast is primarily aimed at people who don't have a learning background, a training background. They're managers, they're out in the field, they're struggling to figure things out.
Yeah.
And so you were the first person that came to mind to ask the question of what is one thing you wish more managers knew about learning?
I think, and we'll go transcend beyond the managers, right? This goes to, let's look at the general population of humans, which is we neglect the fact that learning, everything, learning, memory, behavior, habit, all of it starts in the brain.
Yes.
And it's the one thing that we have neglected to talk about and neglected to bring into our conversations about learning and training and design.
Yeah.
And that to me is so critical.
Yeah.
Not just to our industry, to learning and development, to training, to creating learning, to creating training. But we are currently in a time where I strongly believe that we have a duty to ourselves to preserve our own human capabilities.
Yes.
And because we've neglected them for so long,
yes,
not teaching at a fundamental level, but what does it really mean to learn from the inside out?
Yes.
How does the brain process all these senses going on around myself and Matt right now?
There's a lot of sensory info.
How do we filter those things and how do I focus on you? And then how does it transcend into learning and development of training?
Yeah. So what is that? Let's make that practical. For the average manager, again, they're looking at performance issues. They're trying to help their team succeed.
Yeah.
What is this shift in mindset of it's happening in the brain, but now what?
So there's so many ways that we could break this down.
Yeah.
So one of the things I've been seeing for whatever reason most recently, and I feel like a myth is being perpetuated right now, is the differentiation between behavior and habit. A lot of managers, leaders are focused on, we want behavioral change, without quite understanding that behavior is the first step to the cultivation of a habit. So do you want something that is kind of like the one and done, or do you want something that's going to be repetitive and becomes automated?
Yeah.
So most of the learning that's being designed right now is being designed to be like, well, when I think about that, I'll do it. And that's behavior.
Yes.
Not a habituated activity or skill.
Yes. Yeah. I think I hadn't even realized there was kind of so are you saying that people aren't realizing that the mechanism there is the same, or what you're trying to do is the same?
Or are you saying that there is a differentiation?
No, it's
okay.
quite different.
So yours, okay, got it. I see what you're saying. And so in that differentiation, what is that difference?
So like I was saying, so when people talk about behavior, I think that they're mixing it up with habit. So when we define, behavior as far as like we want to see behavioral change, behavior really is isolated to when we think about doing something. So the example I give is like, I might wake up on the weekend. I hate running. Anyone watching this, I hate running. I'll never run. But maybe one morning I wake up and I'm like, I'm going to go for a jog.
Yeah.
But I only think to do it on that day, in that moment, I go and do it. It's not something that I'm going to continue to do or that I want to do.
Yeah.
And there's so many different elements to me wanting to be able to do that. I create a habit out of doing it.
Yeah.
So we practically take that into an organization where maybe you've got SOPs. Maybe you've got very strong, health and safety procedures if you're in those type of environments.
Yeah.
You don't want somebody just to do something when they think about doing it. You want it to become an automated actual habit.
Yeah.
Because then, you're very safe as far as your liability goes. You know that your people actually have cultivated a memory, which is really a very big word missing from our industry. We say learning, learning, learning. We do not say memory, memory, memory.
Yeah.
It's like what we need.
Yeah.
We need long-term memory because those long-term memories represent the behaviors, the habits, the ability, the skill, the knowledge that we will then transfer into those initiatives.
Yeah. Yeah. So if somebody wants to try to move beyond just the behavior into more of a habit, I know there's 1,001 things I'm sure that could come up here, but what's a couple examples of people need to think about how to make something a habit and not just something that comes up when I think about it?
Right. So, I mean, the finicky thing about behavioral science is we talk about motivation a lot, and it's very hard to stabilize somebody's motivation.
Sure.
So we can't actually, there's a couple of images that I use, which is one of, it's a bunch of eggs.
Okay.
And one egg has its hand up, and they're showing that inherent motivation to do something. And then there's another picture where it's a person with a bucket of water and a horse, and the person says drink, and the horse says nope. So we need to take into consideration external and internal motivation. That's definitely one of them.
Yeah.
And then once we get into the whole, when we're talking about creating a habit, it's a loop. It's a cue, it's a trigger, it's a reward, and it's all of that repetition.
Yes.
So typically the learning programs, they are not designed in such a way that works with the brain to be able to go through that process, which is it's a lengthy process to change a human brain, which is really what we're in the business of doing.
That's exactly what we're doing.
We're exactly, when we are creating learning, when we are facilitating, when we are delivering an online webinar, we are we are starting that process of trying to help somebody else change their brain.
Yes.
And if you take anything away from this conversation, let it be that, is that as educators, as learning and development professionals, as managers who quite honestly got the short end of the stick for a very long time, everything goes to the managers, our floor managers.
Yes.
That's really what it comes down to.
Yeah.
Is if we don't get to the fundamental human basics of, well, how do we learn?
Yeah.
And how do we create a memory? And how does that memory then show up as a habit?
Yeah. Yeah.
Then nothing's really going to stick or last the time, test of time as they say.
It's great that this conversation is kind of coming at the tail end of a series of these conversations, because so many of them have centered on the fact that, it takes a community, it's a process, you need lots of different things. It can't just be, hey, training solved my problem. It's, what are other people doing? What is the manager doing? But what you're saying really is it's the why to that is because of the fact that we're trying to change people's brains.
Yes.
It's never going to be just like, oh yeah, they do the training and now we're good to go. It is that repetition. It's the reinforcement. It's the reminders. That's what really makes that change possible.
So for anyone listening or watching this, I gave this example on my birthday session, which was, if you know the movie Cinderella.
Yep.
Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo. But we switched Bibbidi Bobbidi Boo to focus, repetition, and time. Focus, repetition, and time.
Great.
Those are your magic ingredients when we are trying to help cultivate a new memory in somebody's brain. Is we need focus, we need repetition, and we need time. And when you think about how organizations are set up, especially when it comes to focus is your gateway to learning. It is the entry point. We don't allot enough time for the human process to learn.
Yeah.
So and this is a whole other podcast, but
Yeah.
attentional networks in the brain. How do we actually focus? Attention is our mechanism to focus, but what does that mean then? If I'm speaking with you right now, because as we said, like our brains are working very hard right now to basically filter out the external stimuli of everything.
Yeah.
Now, if I really wanted to, and I could actually, there's 3 people sitting, you guys won't see this. There's 3 people sitting just diagonal from us.
Yeah.
And I could, if I really wanted to, tap in and listen to that gentleman and hear his conversation.
Absolutely.
Or I can decide I'm going to track that man with his backpack.
Mm-hmm.
But instead, I'm going to tell my brain, okay, I need to do some cognitive control. Cognitive control is a skill. Focus is a skill. We neglect to teach that, but focus really is a skill.
Yeah.
And me being hyper aware of everything that's trying to grab my attention right now through the senses can exude cognitive control.
Yeah.
And say, okay, redirect, focus on that.
Yeah. I love it. Focus, repetition, timing.
Focus, repetition, and time.
I love it. I think that's the takeaway message for somebody. I mean, as you said, there's a whole rabbit hole there. There's a lot more to unpack. But if you want one thing to remember of why it takes a lot of work, and what is the first thing you can do, focus, repetition.
Focus and repetition and time. I always tell my designers and everybody who I'm training, are you working with the brain or are you working against it? And the first thing to even be able to answer that question is to learn a little bit more about it.
Absolutely. Yeah. Well, thank you so much. It's been great.
My pleasure. Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening in on the conversation. I hope you got as much out of it as I did. If you are a manager yourself and you're looking for more insight onto how to better lead your team, please make sure to check out some of our other amazing episodes. If you are responsible for developing leaders in your organization and you're struggling to make programs that actually change behavior and actually impact the business, please reach out so we can figure out how to make your organization better every day. Drop me a line using matt@bettereverydaystudios.com. I look forward to the conversation.